For more on this, we're joined by Bohl, a senior Middle East and North Africa analyst at RANE, the risk intelligence company. Ryan, thanks very much for your time. So what do you make of Donald Trump's latest statement then, thanking a number of regional partners, although he didn't mention Israel in that statement?
Well, certainly I think that President Trump is a bit premature in celebrating this ceasefire. It has all the contours of a temporary rather than permanent ceasefire, given that it's still not dealing with some of those thorny issues like the final status of Hamas in Gaza. Obviously, the Israelis want them gone, and Hamas is suggesting that they will remain in some capacity. So this looks like a deal that, if it goes through, and we still need to see the Netanyahu government's reaction to this, might just be a temporary one that sees some hostages released, similar to the ceasefires we have seen in the past. It might not even get all of the hostages out before it collapses. So initially, that's what it looks like to me, and it looks like President Trump was very much grasping at the idea that Hamas had accepted the contours of the deal without looking too deeply at exactly the details of that acceptance.
So is this a delaying tactic in some ways by Hamas, which not only buys them time, but will also buy time for Benjamin Netanyahu and an Israeli response?
Yes, and I think both sides have an incentive to try to buy time. For Hamas, the strategy is to last until Israel's political resolve breaks. That's most likely to happen after fresh elections, which have to take place in about a year, if not earlier. For the Israelis, it's about continuing to use military pressure to break Hamas's political resolve, especially through the conquest of Gaza City and further restrictions on humanitarian aid into the Strip. And so I think both sides have that game that they're playing where they're trying to play for time. But Netanyahu has a domestic flank that is very unstable, certainly within the reservists who are refusing to serve in the Gaza Strip, certainly the hostage families who are carrying out these larger and larger strikes. He does have to be concerned about those factors as well if he's going to win that next election. So he needs to find a political formula that allows him to score temporary victories while still kind of inching towards that more maximalist goal of finding a maximum pressure campaign that removes Hamas from the Gaza Strip. It's a very, very tricky formula. A lot can go wrong for him. It's more likely that he loses power than not, but that is what he's attempting to do.
Now, ever since this broke, in the last couple of hours, we have been hearing that the ball is very much in Benjamin Netanyahu's court, Ryan. There has been a statement just released from his office, from the Prime Minister's office, and it says this: Israel's preparing for immediate implementation of the first stage of Donald Trump's Gaza plan for the immediate release of all hostages following the Hamas response. I mean, we know that the relationship now between Netanyahu and Donald Trump appears to be strained. Is this a move perhaps to appease him and go along with his acceptance of what Hamas has had to say?
I think there's an element of that, but Netanyahu is also aware that he's been able to get out of two ceasefires prior to this because in their more defined phases of like what is the future of Gaza, that's where they collapse. And if Netanyahu is saying right now that they're going to implement the so-called first phase of hostage releases and prisoner exchanges, it puts us right back into November of 2023, of earlier this year, with the ceasefire that lasted 3 months. And it sets Netanyahu up where he is able to get the political points of releasing hostages and taking some international pressure off of Israel during this time period, while at the same time reserving the right and developing that casus belli, the cause for war, to later collapse the ceasefire in order to achieve his more maximalist gains. This makes a fair bit of sense. This is exactly what he has done before in the two previous ceasefires, and I would suspect that he is now looking for ways where he could collapse it in 2 or 3 months down the line.
Yeah, that is very interesting, and it will be interesting to see how the next 24 to 48 hours develops. Ryan, thank you very much, as always, for your company.